What's up, and welcome to another edition of the Cover 2 Recap. I'm Edward Lewis, publisher of BruinSportsReport.com. This is the OC Register writer, Joey Kaufman, and we're here today at UCLA's first spring practice out here at the IM Fields in Westwood. And Joey, it was an eventful day, I guess. A lot of position changes, a lot of concept changes, depending on who you're talking to. So let's get into some of the news and notes before we really start breaking down what we saw out here. Some of the quick newsers are Cordell Broadus officially returned to the field at wide receiver. He was a touted recruit who took the year off last year, but is back. Stephen Manfro's back. Looks like he's going to get a 6-year of NCAA eligibility. A couple position changes. Ishmael Adams moved to wide receiver. It may or may not be permanent, per Jim Mora. Cameron Griffin, Ainu Taua both moved to fullback. Nate Yesse moved to tight end. And then there was a couple little tweaks here and there. Randall Goforth moved to corner. Deshaun Holiday moved to safety. So those are kind of position changes. And of the injured guys, everybody that kind of ended the season injured stayed injured. So the Fabian Moreaus, the Tavita Hawley-Lilos, the Eddie Vanderdoses, all those guys are still out. So not a whole lot of update there. So let's get into what we heard about the concept changes, because that's what everyone wants to know about. The new quote-unquote pro-style offense and the new 4-3 defense. Jim had a different take on that. What did he say today?
Yeah, I think you phrased the question and mentioned the changes that come with a pro-style offense, and I don't remember if he let you finish the question. He stopped and said, let's set the record straight. This is not a pro-style offense. This is the same offense we ran last year with some changing of the concepts. And he said, I've never used the word pro-style offense. He's talked about the addition of tight ends and fullbacks, but he hasn't really, I don't think, explicitly stated that it's a pro-style offense. So he was kind of a little bit on the defensive and claiming that it wasn't pro-style offense. So don't expect a whole 180 shift. It's a little bit of some gradual changes and some tweaks, as he put it.
Yeah, and even with the defense out here, they ran a lot of base 4-3, which we've never seen really in the last 4 years here. They've run 4-2s and the nickels and stuff and had a 4 down lineman before, but they ran a lot of 4-3 today, and I don't think I've ever seen that before. And again, Jim said don't read into that. It's not a permanent thing. They're going to run as many 3 down linemen as they do 4 down. So I don't know what to take of it. I don't know whether he was kind of just trying to throw the scent off for the recruiting trails. Maybe people are negative recruiting him and saying, receivers can't catch the ball in pro style and this, and this. But it was a different take that I wasn't necessarily expecting from him today.
Well, they did. They lined up. Josh Rosen was lined up under center a lot more than he did last year, maybe half the time, 60% of the time, and they were throwing the ball a lot. So you weren't seeing something like Stanford where you got 8 down linemen in your elephant package and you're running the ball with a fullback and you have 1 wide receiver out. I mean, you saw 3 or 4 receivers out, maybe a tight end, maybe 3 receivers, and Rosen throwing the ball a lot more. So maybe the tight end's not that wide receiver. Maybe he's got his hand down. So he is on some, but the changes aren't drastic overall.
Yeah, Josh and Jayon, Josh Rosen and Jayon Brown both said that they don't see a huge difference among the schemes, even though they are under center, and even though there is a fullback, and even though the tight end is in line and not flexed out. But just breaking down a little more, you were touching on it from a general observation today, from a fan's perspective or a media perspective. Did you see a whole lot of difference? I mean, do you come out here and be like, whoa, this offense is totally different, whoa, this defense is totally different?
No, because you still saw a lot of the times where you'd have the 3 receivers or you'd have 3 receivers in the tight end. So a lot of it did look familiar, and they weren't doing situational stuff. What I'll be curious to see is when they eventually do situational stuff and they're in the red zone, and they had red zone issues last year. They were settling for field goals, not touchdowns. How will this pro-style, don't call it a pro-style offense, look in the red zone? Will they be more of a jumbo set? I think stuff like that is going to be interesting to see some of those wrinkles, because when they're just doing kind of generic stuff around midfield, it does look similar with the personnel and guys they were using.
I'm with you on that. There was a lot of gun, a lot more gun than I thought it was going to be. When the offseason they were talking about the pro style change, and I thought it was going to be a lot of under center and a lot of power eye and stuff. And today we didn't really see that. I mean, I'm expecting it obviously to evolve within the next couple of weeks as we progress here in spring. So, but day one, I mean, it still looked a little similar to what Noel ran last year. I mean, at least a little bit.
And a lot I think will be made of. They have fullbacks and tight ends, but it's still not going to be the 1970s or 80s where you threw the ball 15 times a game and you had power eye. I mean, Alabama runs what people would write and say it's a pro-style offense, but if you look at them in the bowl games and stuff, they were up-tempo. They were throwing the ball a ton. So, I mean, it is a little bit of could be overstated for sure.
Probably going to need to find a new word for pro style with the next couple weeks here. So let's get into kind of top performers from today. It wasn't really a huge eventful day. A lot of 3/4 speed, a lot of 90% speed. Obviously no contact, no pads or anything, but you had to stand out and I had to stand out. I'll start with mine. Mine was Theo Howard, just because these freshmen come in, these true freshmen, they're right fresh out of high school, and they normally takes them a little bit while to get going, but Theo had a couple plays where it made you look at your roster and be like, wow, who was that? Rosen even touched on it in the press conference, said he had a hell of a catch today. So obviously Josh Rosen noticing it, so we're noticing it. So he had a good day. I thought he was probably the best of the incoming freshmen. I thought Lokeni To'oloa also stood out among those kind of incoming 9 guys, but you had one as well. Who was your top performer?
I'll go Scott Quisenberry. Hasn't played football in over a year. Came in center. It was smooth. They were going to shotgun formations under center. There were no Bosch exchanges. I thought that went smoothly. I mean, Jake Robinson is expected to enroll, and good candidate be the starting center, but if there's a hang-up with there or he gets hurt, I think Quisenberry looked like a guy already in spring who has some of the kinks out and the cobwebs out.
That'll wrap up our coverage from day 1 of spring ball. You can follow Joey's coverage of UCLA and everything else on Twitter at Joey R. Kaufman. You can follow me on Twitter at Edward_Lewis. Until the next time, thanks for tuning in to the Cover 2 Recap.